Okay, we look at homework 2, problem number 4, and we give some hint how to get started with this. In the beginning, we need to have two sources. Okay, each one of the sources we call the sources of a TV8 type, and this is the sources of a TVB type. And again, bringing two different model entity, one for each source, and this we call it entity TVA, and this one we call it entity TVB. Again, we can change the color real quick for this TV, paint it a little bit. Alright, this is that, and I think this inter-arrival time is exponential 7 minutes, and this one is exponential 11.5 minutes or something like that. Yep. Okay, and make sure this the second source generate and entity B, and also now we adding a 3 inspection station, so getting 3 servers set up. Okay, kind of distribute them a little bit, and this is what we call a server inspection. One. Okay. Can call them this similar name over here. Okay, each one of them has a different and also the arrival of the both TV showed up in here. For doing that, we're using a transfer node in between. Okay, transfer node in between, and trying to simulate their aggregate arrival. So we're adding some of the link between them. So here we just need a regular connector. Okay, and then I have a distance for each one of them, for example. And for now, I'm just going to put on time path for a certain time. Each one of them just for 2 minutes for now. Arbitrary number, not necessarily consistent with your homework, and you need to figure out what it needs to be done. And the parts actually come out of an inspection and goes to either palletizing area or goes to a rework or trash or defective. So we need a couple things back here. The first we need a server is so-called rework, basically. Server rework, for example. And I need a place for bad TV. Called sync bad TV. Alright. And also I need to have a palletizing. We'll talk about this area a little bit later. Right now I'm just going to put a combiner. So there's a combiner. Simulate a palletizing process. Okay, and we'll come back to that in a few seconds. And the palletizer right here, they have a parent node and a member node. And the parent node is coming up with a so-called pallet, and all the finished TV goes here in the member nodes, so that can be combined onto a pallet. Okay, so for now I'm just trying to determine the outcome, so I'm going to using some time path as well. Okay, and then this time path is consolidate all the output from the transfer node, and let's take a look. And we know that there is a possibility to go forward from the passenger node to the member node, and also there's a situation we can come in here from this node, go either to the bad TV or to the rework. For that we need another small portion. I'm just going to use connector because we have more decision to make. And then we have slightly short time path going from here to here. And the outcomes of the rework basically needs to be routed back to the inspection. So I'm going to pretty much take that effect. Okay, represent the routing back for inspection. For the purpose, we need another resources called inspector to be okay. Now this inspector we have 3 available for each one of the inspection notation. Okay. Right now we'll pretty much finish the structure of that whole thing. And for this combiner we need a pallet arrival on this thing. So first we need to put on the sink. We call this guy sink for good product. Okay, sink for the good nodes, and I'm just going to putting a time path. And also I'm putting another source simulating arrival of the pallet, and we'll deal with that later. Worry about that later. Okay. Also, for that source, I'm using another model entity called pallet. Okay. So the palette, I'm going to using a different color for that purpose. For now, choose a purple as a palette. So you see that we have a green or red for the different TV, and the palette is using purple. So we see purple supposedly on the parent node, and see red or green on the member queue, and they combine together and ship out. Alright, this is pretty much the structure for this homework. First thing we need to determine the processing time for each one of the TV and determine what type of arrival this TV is going to be. Now we need to define a table. So add a data table for now. Adding a column, determine TV type. I'm just going to grab a integer and call that TV type. This is very similar to our homework. We have 1 and 2. Now I'm going to add the processing time for inspection stations, 3 inspection stations, and processing time for the repair station. For that we need an expression for this. Okay, so and inspect time. Okay, the inspection stations, they are using a time based on minutes. Okay. The second one is the so-called repair time, for example, and they are also time in units and minutes in default units. Okay, so we have inspection time in minutes and also have repair time, but they have a different distribution for each job type. And also, I want to add one more column. It's called representing the failure rate probability. So what I have is called failure rate, failure probability. This is failure probability. The first one is about 1%. The other one is about 15%. All right. So failure probability. In order to generate the setting up which row I'm going to follow from the parts got generated, I need to do something right here. I can perform a process using we go back to change that call. I'm going to change this table called part table. Parts table. Okay, you can come back to choose either the table reference assignment after the parts get created. I'm using the part table and the row number basically set for 1. And this one we can do that as well. After the parts been created, I'm going to do part table and set it to 2. So that means everything generated from the TVA source is going to follow row number 1 on this table. And also everything generated from TVB source, and they're going to follow the second rows on this table. And this is easy in that case, and I can basically figure out the so figured out what is the processing time is. So here we can have using part table and inspect time for that. Same thing everywhere. Okay, so I take care of the processing time over here. Also for the rework is the same thing. I'm going to choose part table repair time. All right, and that's all there is to this part. So we also here we need to batch. I need to say batch number equals to 6 and follows matching member only, matching with part table TV type. So I'm going to match follow TV type, okay, for matching member, so I don't ship mixed color. So all the TV A with a green going with the green. All the TV B, model B, go with themselves together. So we pretty much finished the whole thing. And let me see if I can run this. Okay, we can see that every one of them coming through, but it seems to me each one of them didn't have a proper direction to one of those inspection station based on the dynamic routing, and also this palette keep going too many over here. So I would like to kind of rectify that. And how to rectify that, I'm going to using the next video, and this is this part of the clip for now.